Yeah.
Okay, record
Oh, shoot.
started. So go ahead and keep going. I've started recording. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Yeah, I'll keep going. I'm in on my computer. So maybe in fact, maybe what you do, Diana, is just in the very bottom, there's a button that says allow participants to share their screen, and we'll just do it that way.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. You made me co-host.
Yep.
So let's see. For some reason, my iPad is still not letting me do anything. Will you make my computer a co-host as well?
Okay. You
Let me.
Have you logged in?
Yeah, I just renamed it. Me, Daine Clark Computer. And let's see. Let's do that. So cool. Thank you guys for chiming in on the chat. If you haven't chimed in yet, I see we've got a lot more people on the line than we have chats. So this is your perfect opportunity to go ahead and put a number on there for me, and we'll go through. We'll give some love. We'll give some. But yeah, chime in on the chat. Let me know how many people did you talk to in the last 7 days? Oh, perfect. There we are. All right. So if I could share my screen on the computer, let's see if this works. And then I may have to just cancel this on the Zoom. All right. Cool. Computer it is. Can you guys see my screen okay? And
It just said started sharing screen.
Okay, cool. There it is. All right, cool. We're back. All right. Let me jump into the chat here. And I wonder, since my iPad came, or my computer came in after the fact, I'm not sure. Let's see, chat. I don't do it from the computer as much. Chat. Cool. Great job, Tyson. 4 to the house tour, 4 to Thursday night, 3 to Saturday, 1 to the real estate intensive for Gilda, 7 intros, 1 one-on-one. Good job, Tyson Clay. Oh, and 2 one-on-ones. Oh, perfect. Good job, Tyson. Megan Dale says, thanks, Ann. Ada had a goose egg. If you don't know what a goose egg is, then, well, every time I have a 0, I call it a goose egg. And I report every single time if I have a goose egg. So far this year, I've had 1, and it was, I think, the first week of January when we were out of town for a couple of weeks. But I track it, and I can trace back to every single dollar I've made, how many one-on-ones it took me to make that. So let's see, moving on. I think I skipped. Oh, Estrin had 12. Deanna had 20. Great job, Deanna. Ada had 2. Anna had 1. Berta had 3. Kim had 6. Maria 1. Pete Smalley, the guy in the mirror keeps saying, not right now. I'm not sure what you mean, Pete. Love you, brother, though. Let's see. Bobby had 6. Lisa had 5 people out of the 35 show to Chris Wilson. Tried to email them to get a response. They're not responsive. Happens. Definitely happens. Rico talked to, I talked to several people on a profits follow-up with Scooty. Sweet. Pete Smalley had 3. You're welcome, Tyson. Sandra had 5. Olivia had 10. Megan, 10 intros, 3 one-on-ones. Ooh, entering an order tomorrow. Congratulations, Megan. Heather Hargrave, the 2 follow-ups. Good job, guys. All right, cool. Let's see how quick my screen share is on the iPad here, because I'm going to use this. I got some good stuff for you guys today. So let's do this, though. I want to help at least one person. And so if you've ever been on my calls, you know that I love to give a little bit of mentorship, to give a little bit of mindset training, to actually handle a real live issue that someone's having, a question that you've got. So you know who you are. Go ahead and come off of mute, especially since we got a little technical difficulty. We got a little late start on this. So come off of mute. Tell me what your name is, where you're from, how long you've been a part of Renatus, and tell me, how can I help you today? Because just like you may have experienced and like everybody else has experienced, when somebody poses a question, it's not uncommon that everybody has either seen that question before, or they've experienced that, or they're just like, holy crap, this is so valuable. I know that was for me. That's how it was for me. Whenever I could see somebody else solve a problem, I was like, dude, I needed that. So you know who you are. Come off of mute. Let's have a conversation. And everybody will be very grateful that you did that. So let's see, participants. Who do I have? Renee.
Good morning. I
Good
have
morning.
been in Renatus for 9 months, and
Congrats.
yeah, I started off really well, and I made the mistake of trying to start two businesses, my retail real estate business and Renatus at the same time. And then COVID hit. I had a lot of rejection, just a lot of ghosting. And what I figured out from the drive system is, as a validator, that's like the worst. But I am now traveling, and I'm trying to get my business back up and running. And all I've got is cold leads, just a bunch of business cards I've collected over the years. And I'm trying to figure out how to start a conversation and tap into people without having any warm connection or them raising their hands.
Cool. So you have a ton of cold leads. My first question is, let me make sure that I'm understanding it. You got a bunch of cold leads, but you're wondering, how can I strike up the real estate conversation? Is that right?
Correct, because I feel like the guy with the trench coat with, watches and purses, and you could start your business, you could grow your business, you could save more money, you could be a real estate investor. I just don't even know how to start that off and just get their interest in the first couple of seconds.
Cool. So my first question would be, where did these list of leads come from?
It's just all things like, random people in my LinkedIn, which, a lot of them I don't even really know. Also, just cards I've collected, whether they be from, when I went to get my car fixed, they have a big stack of business cards up there where you could grab stuff. So I just grab business cards whenever I see them.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So literally they're just people. They some of them have expressed interest, but sounds like most of them haven't. They're just people that you got a phone number, almost like the phone book, like you took a business card because it was sitting on a counter. You just have phone numbers. Cool. So I do something like this. If you've ever seen me, have you been on my calls before?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
So if you've ever seen me draw, say that again.
Yes, I have.
Okay, cool. So if you've ever seen me draw out just like my sales process, if you will, is step one is you create the intrigue. Step two is you get them in front of an intro. In other words, introduce Renatus, and oh, by the way, this could cost money, anywhere from $2,000 to $23,000 or $2,500 to $28,741, etc. So intro, in other words, drop a lot of value and price. And then from there, it's fortune is in the follow-up, and I typically do one-on-one follow-ups. I just found it to be a lot more effective for me. And so, yeah, so really, intrigue here in the beginning. So what I'm understanding is you need help in this process. It's creating the intrigue. And so here's what I'm going to say. In fact, I think if you're on my call last week, I went into this in a little bit more depth. You were not on last week?
No, I'll have to watch that recording.
Cool. So I go into that, or go into this last week as well. But here's what I would suggest based on what you're telling me. Your job is going to be a detective. right? And so what you're going to need to do, and I'll tell you right now, what I give you right now will probably not be enough for you to just like get up and go. What you're going to have to do is, after this call, you're going to have to put a little bit of brain power into this and create like, okay, if I was a detective and my job was to find and interview people who are interested in the following: real estate investing, debt reduction, in other words, banking strategies, tax saving strategies, asset protection, basically anything Renatus has to offer. If I was a detective, how would I want to go about? I got a list of names, right? And my job is to interview each and every one of these people and find out which one of you is interested in real estate investing, debt reduction, tax savings, money, basically investing their money, being a bank, fix and flips, I mean, you name it, right? And I'd probably actually start smaller and just be like real estate investing as a whole, but I think you get what I'm saying. So that's your job. What questions am I going to ask, right? Because I just have a list of people, and my job is to find out which one or which of these lists of people is interested in these things, right? And so this is where your creative juices can start flowing. So in fact, here, let me ask you a couple of questions, because I want these creative juices to start flowing, and then you're going to finish this after this call. Okay. So first, what comes to mind? If you are a detective, you got a list of names. How many names do you have, by the way? Do you know?
Oh, probably 800.
Okay, a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a list of 800 names and your job is to find out which one of those is interested in these things, where does your brain go first to complete this task? It's 800 names. And go.
Well, profits initially, because it's a business card, so they have a business.
Mm-hmm.
So, asking them.
I'm talking like, what are you going to do? So how do you want to talk to them? Email, on person? Like, do you want to make 800 phone calls? Do you want to send out a mass email to all of these 800 people? Or if you don't have emails, then text messages? Where would you start?
I would probably
in your
call.
job. Okay. So you're telling me you're going to make 800 phone calls. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So 800 phone calls.
I used to work for an email service. If you email these people and you get marked as spam, then you get your emails shut down pretty quick.
Yep. It would not necessarily be the most effective use of your detective work, because, like you said, not everybody's going to answer a phone call or answer an email, right? Mm-hmm. You want to find out, like, in other words, as a detective, your job is to thoroughly find out every single person is interested in something like this or not. Okay. So now you gotta map it out in your mind. You're going to make 800 phone calls because you want to go through these 800 people very thoroughly. Okay. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So next on the list is you need to have a reason. You need to have a reason, and it can't be like, hey, my name's Renee, I'm a detective. I mean, I guess you could totally do that. Okay. But so we need to create the reason for the phone call so that you can say, hello, so-and-so, because they probably don't know you, I would imagine, just like you said that you probably don't know most of them. So you need to create the reason, right? And so we got to come up with a reason to say, hey, we got to come up with a phrase that you can say, hey, the reason for the call is, and then you can, then you say because. Okay. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind as to why, you're calling me? And let's even role play, right? So you're calling down these 800 names, and you say, and you're calling me, you don't know who I am. I answer, I say, hello. And then you say, go ahead. Let's just role play, and this will be good.
Well, this is where I'm stuck.
Okay. No, this is good. This is good. What I'm doing is asking infinite intelligence, right? This is crazy how this works. And this is why I say you're going to have to take time after this call. So what I'm doing right now is inquiring upon infinite intelligence, right? Your brain knows what to do if you let it, and you put it in that position, right? Doing the role play is actually going to help better. And so I just want to know the first thing that comes to your mind when you pose the question to your mind and your brain starts searching infinite intelligence, what you're going to say. Okay. And I'll help you along the way. Don't worry. But reason. Okay. So ring, ring. I answer. You say what?
I think infinite intelligence has hit the snooze bar.
What's that?
Infinite intelligence has hit the snooze bar.
No worries.
Well,
first thing that comes to your mind.
So before I was calling on, when we first launched Profits, I started calling people and talking about this mastermind that we had coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is maybe too selfish on my part, but I'm also thinking about, I've got like 35,000 of CV to do before I'm 5-star, and I'm trying to get to 5-star as quick as possible. So like the smart thing seems to be to go towards the people who are interested in real estate investing, because it takes a heck of a lot of profits courses to get to 35,000 CV.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'll sell an epic combo all day before I sell profits. Yes, not that I don't like profits, but yeah, I hear you.
So,
and I bet you Renatus would be very, very grateful that you had a similar mindset.
Okay, so I guess maybe I should just start talking to people, asking if they're if they've ever considered getting involved in real estate investing, just going back to that old.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, when they're like, oh no, not right now. Or they give the whole spiel of, maybe it's I've got a ton of real estate and agent cards.
Okay,
so
cool. So a lot of them are agents.
Mm-hmm. So I thought about going after them. But I'm finding that that's just like such a small percentage of them who actually are open. What I'm finding is that those who are open to it are already investors, and they seem to know everything. And then the ones the other ones are so ingrained in their retail mindset, and that investors are, evil spawn.
How many? So agents, you're saying small percentage, right? This is good. This is good. Like stuff is coming out, right? The things that are coming to your brain right now are telling me a lot. Okay. So agents, there's a small percentage of them. And what I'm hearing you say is that you've got stories that most agents are either already investing.
No. What I'm saying is,
or
of those ones who are open to real estate investing already are. And I'm finding that most are so ingrained in the whole retail mindset.
Yes. So,
it's like
either the agents are already investing, or they are retail only.
Yeah.
Customers. Okay. So my question would be this: how many stories, if you were to give me a number, how many stories do you have where that's where it ended up? where they said, oh, I'm already investing, yes, versus, or, oh, I'm a retail only realtor?
Let's see. I called on a list. I had a listing a few months ago, and I called on all the realtors who had people look at my property.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And I would say probably 35 or 40. I talked to 35 or 40 realtors or brokers, broker associates, and and I'm not looking at my sheet, so I would say
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 of them were already investors, like, oh, no, we do this full time kind of thing. And we just have our
Mm-hmm.
license, that sort of deal. And then I had a couple who were like, oh, yeah, I've considered it, but now's just not the time. This was, right as COVID was just starting. I was making these calls. And
Mm-hmm.
then the rest of them, it was just like, a twinge of attitude or, yeah, I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense. So this is what I'm hearing. Okay, like I'm trying to come to your space right now and figure out, these stories. Mm-hmm. Why would somebody say I'm not interested? Especially that early on, because they probably don't even know you.
Right. Well, because I haven't built enough intrigue. So.
Yes, and that's where I'm going. Actually, I would dare guess that you probably tried, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong very often. Just kidding. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I would dare guess that you probably tried to jump to the offer a little bit too soon.
I said, hey, this is Renee Dunn again. I have a listing at blah, blah, blah. You have a client who checked it out. Just wanted to let you know we had a price reduction. Oh, by the way, you don't happen to be a real estate investor as well, do you? That's how I kind of tried to start the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And if they said, like the guy I remember this guy very vividly. He's like, he was actually at the hospital. His wife was getting ready to have a baby, and he answered the phone.
Nice.
I know. And he was like, no, I've considered it. I wanted to for years. And I said, I don't want to take you away from, the birthing process here, but just real quick, like, what's been holding you back? And he said money. And I said, if I could show you some folks that are doing that without their own money, would that be some valuable information for you? Just kind of see how this could work for you. And he was like, yeah, maybe, yeah, I'd be interested. And I invited him to check out the intro. And I can't remember if it was briefing
during
or
the birth.
Intro. It hadn't started yet. She was at the hospisptal. I said, I can send you an email. I said, no big right now, but I can send this to you when you have time. And of course I sent it multiple times, and I guess I get that, new baby, but that's how the point is, that's how I started that conversation. Oh, by the way.
Okay. And this is telling me a lot. So in other words, here's what I'm saying. And then I actually really want to jump over to what I had prepared for you guys. And so let me give you this. Here's my process. And I'll even give you kind of a story. So typically what I like to do is, the reason, sounds like you're already good at this. I think, from what I can tell, like you get to the topic of real estate just fine, right? So reason, real estate investing, that's fine. They engage. Here is what I would do slightly differently. Or what I do technically, I guess you could say. And so I asked them, and they pipe up like, oh yeah, actually I've wanted to get into real estate, whatever. Like, I love that you know about this person. Money is really the reason that's holding them back, stuff like that. And so as soon as I find either their goal or their obstacle, I like energy. Okay. So in fact, I'm going to make this its own bullet point. Whoops, number 3. Sorry, I know how to count. Number 3 is energy, right? This is the moment that your energy goes through the roof. Like in fact, I should start recording my phone calls so you guys can see, like legit. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Yeah. So they tell me their goal, and then I ask them where they are in relation to their goal, or like in your case, they tell me what their obstacle is. And the moment they tell me, I'm like, oh my gosh. And from there, I like to tell a story. And so I think this might be what you're missing. Obviously there could be more things we could break this down. I mean, we could go really, really deep, but I think this is what you might be missing. You want to make sure that you've got a story in there, so that, like this person that said, oh yeah, you know, I've been interested, money, whatever. And then you get like really excited. You say, oh my gosh, I actually have somebody that you might want to meet. I saw this real estate investor, I mean, super successful real estate investor. And honestly, like you could say almost any person that is going to do an intro presentation that you're going to book them to, like Chris Wilson that we got this last Saturday, whatever, right? Whoever you are going to introduce this person to, whether it's on a video, you know, like Scooty, or Michael Huggins, myself, anybody, right? You tell a story about the presenter that you are going to introduce them to. So about the presenter. Okay.
Okay.
So when you sent this gentleman the video, who was doing the presentation?
I was sending everybody to Scooty.
Okay. So you're going to talk about Mr. Scott Rowe. Okay. So this channel, you know, if we rework this conversation, right? This is what I want you to do with all of these stories. Okay. Because if here's the cool thing, like the answer to unlocking your success, if you will, is probably going to be in these 35 to 40 stories that you're telling me you've already got. So if you can go back to each one of those and remember, how did that go? What was I missing? Come back, you know, and I would dare guess that it was probably something in this vicinity. Energy, when you found the goal or obstacle, and of course they were interested. Energy and the story, like, oh my gosh, I have a personal connection that I want to, you know, connect you with. This gentleman, you know, and I'm sure you've got plenty of knowledge on Scott Rowe. If not, you know how to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But you tell a story and be like, oh my gosh, like I got to introduce you to this guy that I've been connected with, who, and then you just tell a story that somehow relates to their goal or obstacle. I know I met a guy who got his start in real estate, didn't have any money. In fact, you know, Mr. Rowe lost his job. And so he didn't have any money, and he started getting involved in the area, surrounding himself with other investors, and put himself in a place where he could make money while he was learning with them, all the way to the point where he had enough money to start investing in real estate just because he's hanging around all these investors, right? And so that's how I would morph Scott's story to help this gentleman. Because I know Scott, like the first thing Scott did was surround himself with the community. He started, you know, he became an independent contractor for Renatus. He started, and he made a ton of money, right? Scott made a ton of money in the marketing before he ever started getting involved in real estate. And so I would leverage that. And obviously I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, like he joined a company and became a salesman for them. You know, no. Like it's how you tell the story. Scott surrounded himself with investors. And because he did that, he then started having money come in because he was He was working with them. He was helping them grow their network. And he started making a bunch of money all the way to the point where he had his own money to start investing in real estate. I would love to introduce you to this guy. Right now, obviously, you mentioned that your goal is to get to 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and as soon as you have your own story, then you put yourself, because right now, what you're going to do is put Scott on a pedestal, and you're going to put yourself, next to him, but you're going to put yourself in like, hey, I'm learning from this guy. I am Scott. See, how long has Scott been a part of Renatus? Well, since day one, 10 years ago, right? I am
Mm-hmm.
Scott 10 years ago. I'm surrounding myself with people like Scott right now so that I can increase myself, per se. Or you don't say this obviously, but this is your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, I want you to get to know Scott, this guy that I'm working with. Now, the moment that you feel like you are on Scott's level, like for right now, like if I were to do this myself and I was going to book to Scott, I would probably put myself as an equal
Mm-hmm.
with Scott. I would still say Scott is the man. In fact, I learned from this guy, and this guy helped me. But still, I would give so many amazing stories about the presenter, even though, I don't know how much real estate Scott does. I know he's made a lot more money than I have in the marketing, but anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For now, you put yourself in that position where you are like this guy, but I want to introduce you to Scott, make that personal connection with this realtor whose wife was having a baby, and build the heck out of him. Now, as soon as you have, and this is where I was going with this actually, as soon as you have your own, where you're doing your own one-on-ones, maybe you're doing your own presentations, all that good stuff, then yeah, things are going to change. But I really just want to prepare you for this, because even though if I were to guess, just in listening to you, I would guess that you're still putting yourself down here.
Totally.
But in reality, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, are you feeling like you're like way down here?
Totally, because I started and then I totally fell down the doom and despair rabbit hole of COVID. And,
Yeah.
just totally lost my team and disconnected. And so, the power of the energy of the team was, I think, what was giving me so much juice. Because, I took Rich Dad program originally, and I felt like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I missed, was that connection and community that Renatus has. And
Yeah.
that's why I was so excited about Renatus when I saw it. So,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to figure out how to get yourself up here to where you're still standing on a pedestal next to Scott, yeah, his pedestal's taller, that's fine. But if you were to help yourself get out of the gutter, if you will, and how you think about yourself and your progression, and again, sounds like you love the aspect of the community. How do you feel like you could make that happen for yourself? Because this question will be answered differently by every human. But what's going to make you feel like you are at least on a pedestal standing next to Scott?
I think having done
And of
a
course, the other
deal,
leaders.
or
Okay.
being 5-star, accomplishing one of these goals would, because right now, I could talk about the real estate, but here's what I encounter is like, oh, okay, well, how much have you done?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and of course, I've been on the trains where Scott's like, well, you talk about how you've been to trainings and you've made all these calls and you've got these many people to
Mm-hmm.
events, but that means nothing to somebody who wants to be a real estate investor. Like, they're
Yeah.
not interested in business, right? So
Yeah.
you can
I'll
say I've
tell
been,
you right now. This is what most people feel like is the obstacle. It's crazy. I was this way too. Most people feel like this is the obstacle that is holding them back from standing. I mean, even on the smaller pedestal, or you know, equal to Scott, whatever. They feel like, you know, they have to have results before they stand on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is crazy, and it's so false. It's bad. I mean, the only way to get on the pedestal is to stand on it, right? Literally, it's that simple. But what you need to do is reprogram inside who you think about your, you know, how you think about yourself, right? And I was hearing a lot of this as you were talking, and so this is why I'm bringing this up, and I'm going a little over because somebody on the call needs to hear this. In essence, just the fact that you want to be like any of the other leaders, like Scott or anybody else, just the fact that you want to be means that you have a spot on the pedestal, period. The fact that you are surrounding yourself with these other people, you put yourself on the pedestal, right? And so, and when you do that in your mind, this is crazy how this works. Watch this. The moment you put yourself on that pedestal, yeah, you might be lower than the other leaders, but the moment you put yourself on the pedestal, you answer questions differently. You answer questions very differently. For example, somebody poses you with that question, oh, well, what have you done? And you say, oh my gosh, right? Because right now it probably takes you here. If somebody poses you that question, like, oh, well, you know, you kind of like, you shrink almost, right?
Yeah.
But the moment that somebody asks you that question the next time, here's what I want you to do. You're going to say, like, oh my gosh, like between me and these other people, like we closed, and you answer the question, right? I used to do this all the time with my 5-star. Like, oh, well, how many deals have you done? Like, oh, between me and the people that I'm learning from, we picked up like 8 houses last month, right? Oh, between, you know, and some people ask me about, you know, like, I mean, before I was a 5-star, oh, like how much money have you actually made doing this? And I was like, oh, between me and my, you know, between me and the people I'm working with, we made $80,000 last month. Right? And me personally, like maybe I made 0 to 1,000, I don't know, not very much. Okay. But the moment I put myself on the pedestal, yeah, even though I was way down here, was when it made all the difference, because it started in the mind.
Hey,
I
Daine.
put myself on the same pedestal. So go ahead.
Hi, Daine. Yeah, I was
Yes.
just wondering, I don't know if Renee has the profits class, because this is actually the, you know, Don, like Troy Don is he calls it the remora technique. So, you know, that big shark and the remora. So, yeah, so
I
that's a
haven't seen
great
his
class
class
if
yet.
you do have it. I mean, it is a phenomenal class. So
Yeah.
that's going to help you
Cool.
with that, you know, helping you understand, you know, being part of, like, you know, what his analogy there is, being, you know, the shark and the remora. And I don't want to go into details with that, but if you do have that class,
no, you're good.
it's an awesome class, you know, WhatsApp.
So Renee, here's your assignment. Watch the done deal formula.
I just did for our mastermind.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Oh.
Yesterday.
Do you
But
remember
yeah,
the remora technique?
Yeah, but I didn't think about using that for any
Yeah.
other reason except
Yeah.
for, you know, media.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it's a, you know, that's exactly what you know, Daine is talking about. Being put yourself in the posture with Scott being your smaller, so Scott would be the shark and you would be a remora.
Okay.
Yep. Crazy, right? So and here's the only, so because I haven't watched the class yet, here's the only thing I could say about that, right? Thank you, Gilda. This is perfect.
Oh, sure.
Remember when I talked about infinite? Remember when I was talking about infinite intelligence?
Yes.
Infinite intelligence is the same for everybody, right? It comes from the same place for me, for you, for Gilda, for Troy Dunn even, for Scott Rowe. Infinite intelligence. It's the same source for everybody. So even though, you know, it's funny, I've actually never taught anybody this thing that we're talking about here. As you are talking, I am relying on said infinite intelligence to share what comes to my mind. And the first thing that comes to my mind is what I share. Because 99% of the time, the first thing that comes to your mind is right. And if you do not act on it, then that connection that you have with infinite intelligence, and you can call it whatever you'd like. You know, I would call it, you know, I'm a Christian, and so I would call it things like Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit. You know, I will tell you in your mind and in your heart type stuff. But infinite intelligence is more universal because not everybody shares the same belief as I do. So infinite intelligence. But whatever that higher power is, and the way you receive that inspiration, you've got to pose those questions to your mind, because the infinite intelligence is the same for everybody. Go ahead.
Do you ask for that guidance before you get on a call or a training, or do you just trust that
during, before? I was up last night until 2 a.m. I was actually watching my own last class from last week, going through on the Facebook group, because I'm posing my question. I pose this question to myself. You know, what value can I give to the people that are going to be on that call tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.? You know, even though, you know, baby's crying, we didn't get to sleep until like 2 this morning, whatever. But I'm posing those questions to my mind. What value can I give? Because at the end of the day, I'm asking I tell myself these things. One, right? And Renee, I'm about to tell you, I love you. Not obviously romantically, but every single person on this call, right? I tell myself, I love every single one of you guys, all of you, right? Because love is actually one of the most powerful, what do you want to call that? Emotions, power, you know, whatever.
Vibration.
Love. It is the most powerful motivator that exists. Love, the most powerful motivator. Love, charity, that kind of stuff. And so I'm trying to remember why I was drawing a list here. Oh, I tell myself, I love every single person that I get in front of, right? So this gentleman that you were telling me about, that his wife's having a baby, right? I would tell myself, like, you know, sir, I love you. Obviously not in a weird way, but I love you. And I am very excited to show up and find a way to serve you. I know I can serve you. I don't know how, but I know I can. And my job is to find out how I can serve you. And sure, I'll get compensated for it, potentially, but I'm here to serve you. We'll figure out compensation as we go, right? In fact, quick story, and then we gotta jump off the call. I was working on a gentleman since December of last year. In fact, here, I'll show and tell a little bit. Tyler Shank. December 23rd of 2019. So we're going on, what, 9 months now? 9 months now. This guy literally just called me up, and here, I'll show you guys the text. Tyler Shank. Because I was not okay, so he texts me on Friday, August 7th, and he says, hey, is there a good time to call you today? I was actually out of town, and so I didn't get back to him until Monday. You know, hey bro, I'm sorry, I'm out of town. And he's like, you know, whatever. And so after 9 months of me showing up in Tyler's world of, I love you, I am here to serve you any way that I can. We'll figure out compensation some other way. I mean, I've had several conversations with Tyler. I've offered him Renatus. He said no. I said, dude, this is what you need. Based on all the things that you're telling me, you need this. And he's like, no, I'm not dropping $20,000. But he calls me up, you know, whatever this is, a week or two ago, and says, hey, can we chat? And let's see, I think he even says it down here. Paid. Paid. August 12th. In full. In cash. Paid
Wow.
in full in cash. Because, again, I showed up to love him and to serve him and figure out however I can possibly serve him. It took me 9 months to figure out how I can serve him. Yeah, and I don't have time to go into the story as to what he actually, you know, cracked his code. But I hope this is helping. I hope this is helping. Sorry, my phone is like freaking out because I got another call right now. Okay, but let's see. Back to this.
I really
Your
appreciate
job.
that, Daine.
I hope this helped. Right. This is not what I planned on going over today, but people needed to hear this. Right. Infinite Intelligence says many people needed to hear this today, and they are grateful that you were vulnerable to do this. This is the beginning phase for you, Renee, to take your mindset to the next level, to get yourself on the pedestal with myself, with Scott, with Bob Snyder even, right? Whatever pedestal they're standing on, you're standing on one right next to it. And when you start thinking and talking like that, or when you start thinking like that, you will start talking like that. When you start talking like that, you will start acting like that. When you start acting like that, your pocketbook gets fat, very, very fat. Yeah, and that's the only thing that's okay to be fat in the world is your pocketbook. But you know, be healthy everywhere else. Okay. Anyway, I got to jump on a call. Glad you guys were all here. I love you all, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Daine.